Hi, I am Sebastian Escalante, and today we are going to talk about biological races in humans. Today I have created an infographic with very interesting facts about race. Alright, the concept of race is more of a modern concept, and in the past people were rather divided accordingly to the religion, class, and language that they had spoken. But in today's society, we base race more off the color of their skin, if they're white, black, Hispanic, Chinese, and examples like that. An interesting fact is that most anthropologists and biologists believe categories of race are not biologically grounded because modern humans simply have not evolved into separate subspecies or races. But interesting fact about that is that there are three recognized races: Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid. And these are recognized because they have distinct patterns in their facial construction. Caucasians, their skull is very long, like a long head, with a high forehead, while they have a very narrow face, and the nose, they have a very long, narrow, and high in both root and bridge nose. The Mongoloids, the skull is more of a short, round head, with the forehead slightly lower than that of the Caucasoids. The Mongoloids also have a wide and short face with projecting cheekbones. And the Negroids, they have a very small, with the forehead more often high than that of the Caucasoids and the Mongoloids. And in the face, their nose is very long and broad in the root and the bridge, with a depression usually, and their cheekbones you can very defined on their face. Another interesting fact is since the very first U.S. Census in 1970, every U.S. Census has sorted people by race. Since then, racial grouping has changed 24 times. Also, the U.S. Census Bureau defines race as a social category recognized by the United States. The Census Bureau recognizes 5 categories of race: white, black or African American, American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, and Native Hawaiian. One last fact is that most genetic variety is not between races, but rather within races. For example, 2 random Italians are as likely to be genetically different as an Italian and a Chinese person. Now I want to talk about biological races in humans. And here's my proof. Definition. In today's society, it refers to groups of people who have differences and similarities in biological traits deemed by society to be socially significant. And a trait that is biologically deemed by society to be socially significant is the color of your skin, whether you're white, brown, or black. And it plays a major role in today's society. Now, a different view that takes a more scientific approach to it says race is a distinct evolutionary lineages within species where genetic differentiation alone is insignificant to define a race. Now, an evolutionary lineage is a population of organisms characterized by a continuous line of descent such that the individual in the population at any given time are connected by ancestor or descendant relationships. Now, this is talking about characteristics or adaptations that are unique to that race right there. And there was 3 that we talked about in the last slide: the Mongoloids, Negroids, or the Caucasoids. And those had distinct characteristics in the face and the head that made them different, that they could trace back to ancestors from the past. Now I want to move on to why race is such a huge deal in today's society and how race affects us politically, socially, and economically. First, I want to talk about how race affects us politically. Studies show that on race, that it plays a significant role in the group's representation among office holders, voting regulations, and state policies related to treatment of immigrants. Now, this relates to today's society about how immigration is a huge factor in how they're cutting down on it, and we're keeping people out from coming into the United States, and how when you look at the presidents and the people in office, there's not many people of the darker races. There's more of that white race that people look at in today's society, and how we have only had one black president in the United States of America. Now I want to move on how it has affected us socially. Now, throughout world history, government has violated and ignored the human and civil rights of their citizens based on race, and how Jim Crow laws set the tone in America. And it played a huge factor in how white supremacy in America extended over centuries, and even the abolishment of slavery couldn't even end racism. Now, the Jim Crow laws were more of a way, more than a law, it was more of a way of life that kept people of color from exercising their rights as full citizens. And it sent a message that whites were superior to other races, particularly the black races in all ways, including behavior, intelligence, morality, and social status. Now, the laws were so persuasive that they regulated every aspect of life, including socialization, sexual relations, marriage, health and education, entertainment, and use of public facilities, and voting rights. And those who took a stand against white supremacy risked threats, intimidation, violence, and even murder. So overall, race has had a huge effect on us socially. Now, economically, race is still an important factor in today's society. In today's society, you don't see many people of colored people getting jobs or getting hired. And a study has proven that people of the white race receive a higher salary over the whole year than people of Hispanics or African Americans, people like that. And in a new research, it actually suggests that economic inequality between black and white Americans is far greater than members of either demographic realizes, and it will only grow larger. Now, however, in the last year, it showed that the black families were still earning way less than they did in the early 2000s. And it is a very depressing realization that in today's society that we still have that huge gap between everybody. Next, I want to talk about my inspiration for this. My inspiration is to show people that we are more similar than we are different, that we all bleed red, that no matter the color of our skin, no matter what religion, language that we are all one people, that we are all together, that we are all still classified as Homo sapiens. So, and I just want to talk about that and how my inspiration and the views of white, brown, and black is different around the world. Like in the United States, we view white and black differently than what Brazilians would classify as white and black. So I just want to bring that to the people and show people that everywhere is different, but at the end of the day, we were all one. That it doesn't matter what we are. And the reaction I got to this when I talked to my mom was she was actually very understanding of all, and she saw the information that I was trying to portray. But she didn't understand why race played such a significant role in today's world, but that she could see why we need it, and if we didn't, that the world would be this bland or boring way of lifestyle if we were all the same. It's like saying if everyone was white, we wouldn't have anything unique to us that made us different from everybody else. So she sees why it's important, but doesn't see why it has to impact us so much politically, socially, and economically.